The forest breathed with ancient secrets as Kael trudged through the undergrowth, his worn cloak catching on brambles. 3 months since he'd fled his own demons, and still the wilderness felt safer than any town. The scar across his jaw throbbed, a reminder of why solitude suited him. A scream shattered the evening calm. Kael's hand flew to his sword. Through the trees he spotted her, a woman with russet hair and fox ears pressed flat against her skull, cornered by 3 shadow beasts. Their eyes glowed sickly yellow, saliva dripping from jagged teeth. She fought with desperation, claws extended, but blood stained her torn clothing. One beast lunged. Kael moved without thinking. His blade sang through the air, severing the creature's head before it registered his presence. The second turned, snarling, but Kael was already pivoting. Steel met corrupted flesh. The third beast hesitated, then fled into the darkness. The woman collapsed against a tree, chest heaving. Her amber eyes met his, wild, grateful, defiant all at once. Fox ears twitched as she studied him. "You saved me," she breathed, then smiled despite the blood on her lips. It was an unnervingly beautiful smile, too wide, too genuine for someone who'd nearly died. "You saved me. I'm Mira." "Kael." He sheathed his sword, noting her injuries. "You need treatment." "I'm banished," she laughed bitterly. "Healing is a luxury I lost." He knelt beside her, tearing strips from his spare shirt. "What law did you break?" Her smile faltered. "I asked too many questions, wanted to know why females couldn't lead hunts, why we couldn't choose our own mates." She winced as he rapped her shoulder. "Apparently, curiosity is treason in my clan." Kael's hands stilled. He knew about unjust laws, about systems that crushed independent spirits. "Where will you go?" "Nowhere safe." Mira's tail curled around her legs protectively. "The rogues hunt outcasts, easy prey." Their eyes locked. Something unspoken passed between them, a recognition of shared wounds, of survival against systems designed to break them. "Travel with me," Kael said quietly, "at least until you heal." Mira's ears perked forward. She reached out, her clawed hand resting on his arm with surprising gentleness. Her touch sent warmth spreading through his skin. "Why would you help an exile?" "Maybe I understand what it's like to run from who you were supposed to be." That smile returned, softer now, intimate. "Then I accept, stranger who fights like thunder." She leaned closer, her breath warm against his ear. "Perhaps I've found something better than a clan, an alpha who chooses me, not because of law, but because he wants to." Kael felt his pulse quicken at her proximity, the wild scent of pine and something uniquely hers. "I'm no one's alpha." "Not yet." Her amber eyes glinted with promise and mischief. "But you saved me, protected me. That makes you mine as much as I'm yours." They traveled together for 2 weeks, falling into a rhythm that felt disturbingly natural. Mira hunted with inhuman grace, while Kael made camp and tended the fire. At night, they sat close, closer than strangers should. "Tell me about your scar," Mira murmured one evening, tracing the line along his jaw with one careful claw. They'd been drinking mead from his flask, and her inhibitions had softened. Kael caught her hand, but didn't push it away. A reminder that loyalty can be weaponized. "Someone you trusted?" "Someone I loved." The words tasted bitter. "She chose power over us, used my secrets to climb ranks I never wanted to join." Mira shifted, settling against his side. Her warmth seeped through his clothing. "Love shouldn't hurt like that." "And yet it does." He looked down at her, at the way firelight painted her features in gold and shadow. Your clan? Did you love anyone there? I was supposed to. Her tail wrapped around his wrist absently. The elders chose Fenris for me. Strong, traditional, everything I wasn't. She laughed. He didn't want a mate who smiled too much or asked too many questions, preferred obedient silence. Their loss. Kael's free hand found her hair, threading through the silky strands. Your smile is captivating. Mira's breath hitched. She turned, their faces inches apart. Kael. He should have pulled away, should have maintained distance. Instead, he closed the gap, capturing her lips with his. She tasted like mead and wildness, responding with a hunger that matched his own. Her claws traced down his chest, careful not to break skin, but leaving trails of heat. Kael groaned, deepening the kiss as his hands explored the curve of her waist, the soft fur at the base of her ears. She whimpered against his mouth, pressing closer. Is this... He pulled back slightly, searching her eyes. Are you certain? I've never been more certain. Mira pushed him back against their bedroll, straddling his hips. You don't command me, Kael. You see me. That's why you're my alpha. Their clothing came away piece by piece, revealed by flickering firelight. Kael worshipped her body with hands and mouth, drawing gasps and moans that echoed through the forest. Mira was equally demanding, exploring him with abandon, her tail wrapping around his thigh. When they finally joined, it felt like coming home, two exiles finding belonging in each other. They moved together with increasing urgency, whispered names and pleasured cries mingling with the night sounds. Afterward, she curled against him, her head on his chest. No one ever made me feel precious before, she whispered. Kael kissed her forehead, his arms tightening around her. You are, more than you know. For the first time since his betrayal, he felt the ice around his heart begin to thaw. And for the first time since her exile, Mira felt chosen for who she truly was. They woke to arrows whistling past their heads. Kael rolled, dragging Mira behind a fallen log as shafts thudded into the ground where they'd slept. 6 figures emerged from the trees, Fox Clan warriors, their ears proud and tails high. Found you, traitor. The leader's voice dripped contempt. Fenris. Mira had described him perfectly, all muscle and arrogance. The elders demand your return. Mira rose, positioning herself protectively in front of Kael. I'm not going back. You don't have a choice, Fenris sneered at Kael, and your human pet dies for corrupting you further. Kael stood, hand on his sword. She's not property, and she's made her choice. A human lecturing me about clan law? Fenris laughed, but the others looked uncertain. You took what belonged to me. I belong to no one. That's why you hated me, because I refused to be owned. Enough. An older female stepped forward, her gray-streaked fur marking her as an elder. Mira, your questions disrupted harmony. Your relationship with this human proves you've lost our way. Or maybe your way is broken, Mira shot back. You exile anyone who threatens your power. How many others have you banished for thinking differently? Murmurs rippled through the warriors. Kael noticed their uncertainty growing. The elder's eyes narrowed. Return peacefully, and the human lives. Refuse, and we'll take you by force over his corpse. Mira's hand found Kael's. Her claws dug into his skin, not from fear, but determination. Then you'll have to go through both of us. Mira, Kael whispered, I can't let you... We fight together. She turned, her amber eyes fierce. You chose me. I choose you. That's our bond, Alpha, our pack of 2. Fenris snarled and charged. The clearing erupted into chaos.
Kale's blade met Fenris's claws in a shower of sparks. Mira moved like liquid lightning, disarming one warrior and using his own weapon against another. They moved in synchronicity. When Kale engaged two attackers, Mira protected his blind spot. When she was overwhelmed, his sword was there to turn the tide. But the elder raised her hands, and dark energy crackled. Enough! The blast sent them sprawling. Kale's vision blurred as Fenris pinned him, claws at his throat. Across the clearing, two warriors restrained Mira, her struggles futile. "Last chance," the elder said coldly. "Submit or watch him bleed." Mira's eyes met Kale's across the distance. In them he saw love, regret, and desperate calculation. She opened her mouth to speak. A new voice cut through the tension. "Release them, now!" Everyone froze. Another foxwoman emerged from the shadows, younger than the elder, but radiating authority. Behind her, a dozen more warriors appeared, their expressions grim. "Rika," Mira gasped, "but you're the war leader. You support the elders." "Not anymore." Rika's gaze swept the clearing. "Not since I learned the truth about why you were really banished."
Fenris released Kale, backing away as Rika's warriors surrounded them. The gray elder's composure finally cracked. "War leader, this is not your concern." "Everything about our clan is my concern, Elder Vesa." Rika pulled a worn journal from her pack, tossing it at the elder's feet. "Especially when I discover you've been systematically exiling anyone who questioned your secret alliance." Mira struggled to her feet, Kale supporting her. "Alliance with who?" "The shadow beasts." Rika's voice was steel. "Vesa and her inner circle have been breeding them, feeding them exiles. In exchange, the beasts drive other clans from prime territory Vesa then claims." Gasps erupted from the warriors. Even Fenris looked shaken. Vesa's face twisted. "You have no proof." "I have records, testimonies from survivors you thought were dead." Rika's eyes found Mira. "Your curiosity led you to discover supply shipments leaving our territory. You asked why we hunted less, but ate more. You noticed patterns. So Vesa convinced the council you were disruptive, banished you before you could piece together the truth." Mira's hand tightened on Kale's. "The beasts that attacked me that first night, they were sent." "To silence you permanently," Rika nodded. "Vesa couldn't risk you finding allies or spreading suspicions." Kale's rage burned cold. He'd spent weeks watching Mira blame herself, struggle with rejection, question her worth, all because a corrupt elder wanted power. "How many exiles died?" Kale demanded. 17 we know of. Probably more." "Lies!" Vesa shrieked. Dark energy exploded from her hands. Several warriors cried out, collapsing. "I served the clan. I secured our future." "By feeding our people to monsters," Rika said, "that's not leadership, it's butchery." The clearing descended into battle. Kale and Mira fought side by side once more, but this time with allies. Fenris, to his credit, turned on Vesa's guards with savage fury. Whatever his faults, he truly believed he'd been serving clan law. Mira and Kale cornered Vesa near the forest edge. The elder's power flickered, exhausted. "You ruined everything," she spat at Mira. "With your questions, your smile, your refusal to obey. I was building an empire." "You were building a grave." Mira's voice was calm, almost pitying. "And you'll face justice for every exile you condemned." Vesa lunged one final time, claws extended towards Mira's throat. Kale's sword was faster. The elder crumpled, her dark magic dissipating like smoke. Silence fell. Rika approached, nodding respect to them both. "The council will be purged. We'll bring the exiles home if they'll come. But Mira," she hesitated, "I understand if you don't want to return." Mira looked at Kale.
at the man who'd given her safety, passion, and choice, then at her former clan, bloodied but free of corruption. "What do you think, Alpha?" Kale smiled softly. "I think you don't need permission anymore. Not from them, not from me. What do you want?"
Mira stood at the edge of the Fox Clan territory 3 days later, Kale beside her. Behind them, scattered camps of returning exiles celebrated their vindication. Before them stretched the open wilderness, freedom, danger, and endless possibility. "You could stay," Rika offered again. "The council wants to make amends. They've already abolished the mating assignments, opened leadership roles to all who qualify. You inspired change, Mira." Mira's tail swished thoughtfully. "I appreciate that, truly." She glanced at Kale, who remained silent, leaving the choice entirely hers. "But I've learned something out there. Sometimes family isn't about blood or birth. Sometimes it's about who stands beside you when the world burns." Rika smiled knowingly. "The human? The man who chose me for me," Kale took his hand, "who never tried to dim my smile or silence my questions, who fought beside me as an equal, not a possession." "So you're leaving?" Fenris approached, his expression unreadable. "After everything we did to bring you home?" "This was never my home," Mira said gently. "It was a cage I didn't recognize until I left. But I'm grateful. You exposed the rot, saved the others. That matters." Fenris nodded stiffly, then surprised them by bowing to Kale. "Protect her. She's special, more than I ever understood." "I know," Kale replied quietly, "and I will." As they prepared to leave, Mira pulled Rika aside. "There are other exiles out there, ones who won't hear about the vindication, who are still running scared. Help them." "We will, I promise." Rika embraced her. "Visit sometime? I'd like to hear your stories. Count on it." That night, camped under stars in their familiar wilderness, Mira and Kale made love with a tenderness that brought tears to both their eyes. Every touch was a promise, every kiss a vow. When they finally lay tangled together, Mira traced the scar on his jaw. "No regrets?" Kale murmured. "You gave up a clan, a home." "I gave up a prison," she kissed the scar, "and gained a partner, an alpha who leads by loving, not commanding, a man who sees me, truly sees me, and chooses me anyway." "Always," he pulled her closer. "You know, I never wanted to belong to anything again after my betrayal, thought I was broken. And now? Now I belong to you, and you belong to me, not as possession, as choice, as love." He smiled. "My foxwoman who smiles too much." "Your foxwoman," she agreed, her grin wide and unashamed, "who will never stop smiling, never stop questioning, never stop being exactly who she is." They kissed under the stars, two exiles who'd found in each other what the world had denied them: acceptance, passion, and belonging. Not in places or laws, but in the fierce, tender choice to keep choosing each other. Together, they'd face whatever the wilderness brought. Together, they were home.